In this video, I'm going to give you 5 things that keep you from manifesting millions of dollars, then how to fix these 5 things and manifest millions of dollars. How to reach your peak potential and shift into your highest timeline. All on this list of 5 reasons why you have been blocked from living that infinite, rich life. Because there's so many dimensions to it and there's so many reasons to it. And it's much more complex than you think. You know, the most common thing that keeps humans held back into a limitation, into their old self, into not living their best life, it always has to do with money. They always end up having one blockage with it. I have had it, you have had it, whether you still have it or not, that's why we're here. You know, the thing is, if you are as free as possible, if you illuminate your senses, if you expand your consciousness, if you awaken yourself to the deepest levels of possibilities, right? If you reach full empowerment and you trust the universe and you're creating from your source, then odds are you're dropping any fear of money, any lack. Because, you know, I've noticed in my experience, you spend most of your life for years spending countless thousands and even hundreds of thousands of dollars on the mundane system, the construct that keeps you paying for electricity when they have free energy already. They just keep it from you. The pyramids, right? Advanced civilization put that there. The ones who came from Atlantis, a few made it after that and they went there and put the pyramids there. This is in alignment with the stars to channel energy. However, they keep it for themselves and they make you think everything is very mundane, dull, and we don't have all the answers, we don't know. Yes, there's a lot of things that are known in the unseen that remain hidden. Now, what you have to understand is that just because it's not here now doesn't mean in 3 to 7 years that you're not going to align with a timeline where free energy exists. The reason I'm mentioning energy is because you give so much of your energy pertaining yourself to money. Oh, I have to have this much, I have to get by. And I understand, I've dealt with it for years. We all come from that programming, most likely. There's even some who have millions, but they act like they don't have anything. This is that program. That's how diminishing it is. That's how harmful it is. It's all false anyway. The reason they keep you locked in that system is because you're completely in fear of not having. You're not going to make it. Survival state, root chakra, lowest plane, right? Now, there are 5 things that keep you away from abundance, away from infinite potential, manifesting millions of dollars. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, and put your notifications on so that you can support this channel and push it further. If you want to also support, there's a link in the bio to support the channel. All I am here to do is devote myself to truth so that the collective consciousness of humanity can expand beyond any limitation that we have been stuck on for many years. First, one of the main first things will be money, right? Because they created a whole construct with it. You know the irony, I said to y'all a minute ago about free energy with the pyramids. What's on the back of the $1 bill? A pyramid with an eye on it. It's all connected. Now, if you stop paying for electricity, if you stop having to pay these bills thinking, oh, I have to do this, and you stopped being so practical and you found a way to be more spiritually aligned, spiritually balanced, there's a difference in spiritually practical and mentally programmed practical. The mentally practical is very diminishing and limiting to your spirit because it keeps you confined into a construct where you have to serve a system and barely get by, and you're always a limitation. The first reason of why you're consistently being kept from abundance and infinite manifestation has to do with not letting yourself let go of the program. If you're not deprogramming yourself, if you're not stopping the program, then you will remain hindered and in that limitation that they put you in. Now you may ask me, what is this program exactly? It keeps you from millions of dollars because it keeps you thinking your value is to make a certain amount, whether it's $50,000 a year, $80,000 a year, $30,000 a year, even less, right? They have you on the less, keep, lack, make it last, survival. The thing that's so dangerous about that survival state and just getting by is it's going to keep you for your whole life, right? You're never going to quite make it out of it with that program, with that mindset. So you have to shift the mentality by deprogramming yourself. Ways to do this. Write to yourself all these affirmations about how you feel as though it's already happened, as though you've already had your new beginning. You are living where you want, you're independent, the source of life, the universe, God, all the same thing, provide for you and give you the aspects of the physical existence you need, and then some. And it's infinite. There's no limitation. There's enough for everyone, because most of the time, here's the trick, y'all. Money is only seen in your bank account. Most of the time. We're talking about a digital currency most of the time. Sometimes it's cash, right? The importance of what I'm saying is, if it's infinite, look at what's in your account. And if it's $1,000, visualize some more zeros next to it. Another thing you can really do is screenshot it and then edit zeros with it. That's another trick for you. Because what that's going to do is it's going to start to ingrain in the consciousness that I have this. It's possible. All it is numbers on the screen. We've given it all of this practical ways of the system. You have to earn it. You have to work. No. All of these ones who teach that, who the money mindset and, you have to work, no, it's wrong. That's not of God. That's why when Jesus went to where they worship, where he lived, and he saw that they're selling things, he got very angry. Why? Because Jesus represents mercy, peace, truth. A system where you're constantly glorifying having to pay for things, consumerism, and then getting lost in it and blurring it and giving your life, blurring the difference, the layers in between yourself and money and God, through a constant program of serving that system and holding on to money and trying to get some materialism back in return for it and staying in that loop. What that does is it keeps you binded. It will bind you into the material realm and keep you in lack, because you're constantly in the loop of materialism, lack. Your confirmations come through materialistic items, through serving a system and getting that check each month, right? But actually what that check does is it keeps you in check for the matrix. The only way of breaking that code is to decode it and reprogram yourself. Write down to yourself, I don't work for money, money works for me. The universe is providing infinite ways for money to appear for me constantly. I serve the universe and I'm rewarded for that 10 times over. Write these things down, and it will already adjust your energy field and your perception. The second thing that keeps you away from manifesting millions of dollars, from your highest life, from infinite potential, from abundance, is not having a spiritual practice. If you're not aligning with yourself deeply as consciousness, expanding your consciousness, expanding your mind, expanding into all the infinite possibilities, then how will you unlock the potential to be able to have millions of dollars? You won't. So the only way to break that is to have a meditation within yourself. If you want to develop more spiritual techniques, if you want to expand to infinite abundance, if you want to shift into a timeline where you have all of this money and you're no longer being withheld into a constriction of a system and always being in lack and in fear of losing, contact me for a session through the email in the bio of this video. Because what this session will do is illuminate your consciousness, expand your consciousness. I will give you channeled guidance directly from source on what you need to do, on how you can get out of anything that's holding you back. I'll see entities that are on your energy body potentially keeping you in that system, because they thrive on that, right? The entities thrive off of you being in fear and lack, because that keeps them being able to feed off of you, because you're in that system still. That's why it's called a construct. They constructed a very developed way to keep you in that loop, to pertain yourself to that system and be limited and low to where you're on their level and they can feed off of you, right? Because you're in fear. That's what they feed off of most, is fear, right? Because deep down there's this program. Having a spiritual practice is so important, because if you're not resetting your energy field every hour, every few hours, man, you're gonna get lost in that matrix so quickly, because it's built that way. You will be overstimulated to your own peril, right? Constantly. Because what they do is even if you reach a peaking moment where you feel very good and you're expanding or you're evolving and you're having realizations or you're seeing manifestations, if you fall back into the same pattern, same habit, same perception, the same program, without any alignment, balance, consistent stabilization that occurs through a consistent spiritual practice, then you're not clearing your energy field, and it's going to create more blockages, right? Because we're just energy here. So the more blockages you have, the more hindrance there will be on your manifestation. So meditate on the energy body, which is one of the things I can guide you through in the session. Or right now, we can even do one. Right now, I will give you an example anyway for you to have. if you close your eyes and you feel the energy from the crown chakra down to the root chakra, all in between, all the energies connecting to each other, expand them into space, because when you close your eyes, you see space. You don't see anything. You don't see thoughts, right? You feel that energy and you expand within that. You expand your energy field, your energy body, your space. You are infinite space, which means you have access to infinite potential and infinite money. This is only simple metaphysics, what I'm telling you. Number 3 on the list is if you keep yourself around the old mindset people, the dark energy characters, the ones with judgment and projections on you, that you have to work for money mindset, the lowest money mindset possible, that keep you serving in a survival state, bare minimum, lack, survival, paying your bills, just getting by. If you keep yourself in tune with that mindset with others, then if you keep yourself around the mindset of others that is just like that, then you are going to put yourself on their level constantly, and you're going by their rules. It's not when you're randomly around them or you remember them. It's when you consistently occupy yourself in a conversation, in a space with these lower entities. Some of them are lost souls. Some of them are something else. Now, what you have to understand is, what do they represent? What are they showing you? How do they want you to live your life? Do they treat you as life? Do they speak to you as life, as infinite possibilities, or do they keep you limited? You have the infinite expanse of the universe, yet they want you to be a tiny little person. Entertaining them, keeping the memory that they have of you alive, and being a worker. Oh, how are you doing with your new job? Oh, you're working? That's good, right? It's the mentality of the old earth, and it will too shatter when you shift into the new earth. But to get there, you have to allow yourself the vitality, the courage to have a new life, new surroundings, new land, new beings, new mindset. Because if you can't make new, then how will you shift into unnew life? You can't. You have to reset everything. The previous mention on the list was about meditating, resetting your energy body. But you also have to reset your surroundings, because you're absorbing energy constantly. That is a metaphysical aspect as a human that you have to adjust yourself to, because it will just keep happening over and over again. They will keep draining you. They will keep trying to guide you to serve their system, their paradigm. But they represent something much more limiting and old, and you've got to come to terms with that. These people want you to be serving a system until you're aged out and you never reach your peak capacity, to where you age much less, to where you ignite your life within you. The life force energy reconnects. You're aware of it, and through awareness, through expanse, through meditation, through spiritual evolution, you expand to higher perception, and you can reach any universe, any timeline. That's your choice. What coincides with that is keeping yourself away from these lower entities, because they will only boggle you down. They want to put you in a bottle. They want to keep you in a box, right? Because if they do that, then the system of comfort, then the fear, the matrix will persist, because they represent that. Some will say they don't know any better, maybe. It's their own journey. Possibly. But you got to take what you're being given. And what you're being given are very low, heavy, limiting projections. So get away from that old, outdated matrix connection. Number 4 on the list is complaining. This is something we all do at some point. You were programmed to do this, actually. And you're actually surrounded by individuals who do this, most likely, frequently. That's actually morphing you into that without knowing it. That's why you have to be very careful and listen to those first 3 reasons, because the third one especially was about these characters. Now, the 4th one is about complaining. If you complain like them, like the lack mindset of, I don't have this. Listen, do you see what's behind me right now? You understand how magnificent the physical realm can be, how it can intertwine with the spirit realm. This is universal nature and earthly nature combining into a metaphysical reflection for you, right? The old rational programmed mind will say, no, you're just saying a bunch of words. But someone who has the eyes to see truth, they know exactly what I'm talking about, because there's infinite possibilities. If it expands beyond where the eyes can see, and we know there's much more to this earth than they've told you, then what do you have to complain about? You have infinite possibilities. Yet, they made you think you are small and you should complain. But actually, when you complain, you know, God always says yes. All God speaks is yes. So when he's saying yes to you, on a subconscious level, if you're complaining and you're cycling the old program, constantly hearing these old thoughts from these old characters, the old mindset, you're affirming that through complaining, because the universe keeps reflecting yes back to you. That's your affirmation, your status of belief, right? So the way to transcend that, the way to overcome that, is through the dissolution of these old traits, patterns, programs, lack of spiritual practice, characters, and complaining. Because when you complain, you bicker, right? You lower your vibration. It's such a low trait. So instead of saying what you don't have, write down some things you do have, or you don't even have to write it down. It's good to write it down. But you can also speak to yourself, yeah, I have this phone, or I have this device, I have this life, I have consciousness, I have the eyes to see, I have physical sensations in this life I can enjoy. I'm expanding spiritually constantly. Nothing kept me away from evolving, from higher possibilities. Somehow, through all of the pain I've gone through all the limitations I faced, through all the doubt that's been thrown at me, through all the influences that do complain and try to limit me, I've seen something like this that can expand my consciousness to understand that I'm not a physical being having a spiritual experience. I'm a spiritual being having a physical experience. There's a mighty difference in the two. The second one allows you to manifest abundance and have millions of dollars. But a spiritual being has no need to complain, because that of spirit always comes back to spirit. And God is infinite. The universe is infinite, and your abilities are infinite. So, how can you have any limitation? Therefore, you got nothing to complain about. So see the pristine beauty of life and allow yourself to be grateful, because gratitude is your way through. It's honestly like when you don't complain and you're grateful, it's like you're opening that infinite space we spoke about earlier to accept a multiplicity of gifts and infinite potential. But how can you do that if you're constantly limiting your space, saying, oh, I don't have this, oh, this is a problem, oh, I can't afford to spend on myself and devote myself to spirit, or take a chance and create something higher with my life. I've got to pay this. You're going to speak that way until you age out and your life ends. But you have the infinite possibility to go beyond an ending life, to go beyond time and reach timeless potential, timeless abundance. But you can only do that by opening your space. That comes through gratitude. That comes through accepting, through realizing what you already have, through giving gratitude to that, awareness to it. And beyond even just that, it really has a lot to do with your own refinement. So you have to keep giving yourself the consciousness, because that's all you are, is consciousness. Everything else is extra. So expand the consciousness today, right? How do you do that? Many ways. First, it's through letting go of any limitation that holds you into a construct. If you're not expanding, you're contracting. If you're contracting, what does that sound like? Contract. You're signing a contract to the lower realm to become less, when you can have everything. But you have to live in integrity, and you have to expand the consciousness. So if you're afraid to spend on anything spiritual, whether it's a book, whether it's some sort of training program where you reprogram yourself, whether it's through a session with someone, guidance, direct guidance, whether it's through evolving yourself in any way, going on a retreat, anything, if you feel to do something deep down, but you're blocking it, you're not going to have abundance in this life. You have to be able to take that step to spend, because the best way I can tell you now, leading to the fifth reason, reason number 5. why you're not having full abundance is because you're giving money too much value. If you give money all the value of life and you make it seem so important to you and you think $100 is $100, I have to hold on to it, y'all. What am I going to do with my life if I'm not able to make it by? All this does is contract you and block out the possibilities. Energetically speaking, metaphysically speaking, on a universal level. So to balance all of that, you have to start to slowly look at, for instance, start looking at $1,000 literally with the value that you used to give $100. I've done it. It's possible. I was extremely programmed in the opposite direction, where we're coming from, right? But now I'm here. We're all making our way here, but you got to take steps. First off, devote yourself to spirit. Only spend on things. Choose to spend money in expanding your perception, expanding your abilities, remembering higher knowledge, receiving reflection of higher knowledge, receiving metaphysical abilities, psychic abilities, remembering, awakening, healing. Gaining the knowledge of these aspects of yourself is monumental. It is imperative. It is pertinent to your evolution, your development, because that's the only way you become boundless and manifest abundance. If you're constantly saying, oh man, $1 million is $1 million. Man, at some point before currency disappears, which will happen in the next 4 to 8 years on the New Earth timeline, because we will have access to free energy. You won't need to pay bills the same anymore. You're not going to have to, at a certain point, beings will have so much abundance that they will have homes. They will have resources where they grow their own food, where they have fruits, where they have their own water, clean water, where they have free electricity from the universe, which is your birthright. You're not here to serve a system and barely get by and have to try and get something in return from it by giving yourself to it. No, give yourself to spirit and go beyond the system. But you can only do that through breaking through these barriers of fear. So the old perception of money has to break down. This is the 5th thing that keeps you from abundance. How do you break that down? Look at $1. Say this is a penny. Look at $10. Say this is $1. Look at $100 and say that's $10. If you do this, you will have a new beginning. I promise you. You have to start to believe it. You will fixate your consciousness to the point of where it will be your new reality and your reality will match it. The ones that are so rich in this life, and actually rich, not just have sold themselves to that system and are stuck in the matrix, but the ones that are actually wealthy energetically on a spiritual level in truth, who are rewarded with abundance because they align with it and give themselves the source, they don't look at money that way. They look at money as it's infinite. Think about it, like I said earlier, it's digital mostly. You never even see it, so it must be somewhat an illusion because you never have proof that you have all of it. If you got 80 grand in your account, are you gonna be able to go take it out and see all 80 grand? Most likely not, right? And here's the other thing, if you had that much money, it can easily be destroyed or burnt or taken away from you. So don't attach yourself to it so much. It's very much just a subtle energy that you have to become in tune with, that you have to affirm within yourself that I am self-aware of what this actually represents. I'm not caught up in some fear program anymore. I'm not giving it the vitality of the world, when in actuality, the essence of the world lives within me and I can manifest anything. So that's how you create infinite potential, by letting go of the things that keep you in the construct of limitation, of thinking you have only a certain amount that you're worth. Your worth is infinite. It's infinite. You have to give to your spirit, emotionally, financially, energetically, consciously, physically, so that you can break down the mental limitations, and then you'll be rewarded for that immensely. Be patient, trust, but devote yourself. If you can't change that mindset now, you're going to end up stuck on an old earth timeline and you're not going to shift into a benevolent ethereal realm. You can do that each moment more and more by letting go of the old coding, the old definitions, the old labels, because that's what really keeps you binded. That's the whole program, right? Because they make you think it has such immense value, but in actuality, you can determine what value it has. Stop following the world and create your own world. That is the potential of your spirit as a spirit being. That's why you're here. Let's be honest. We all want a lot of money, right? Yet there's always something stopping you from taking that next step. The next step involves you increasing your consciousness. Because think of the consciousness as your energy. Think of the energy as your actual currency. Now, money is just a reflection of how much you give into your own energy to expand your perception, to expand your beliefs to where you can actually access all possibilities. There's a legit timeline where you exist and you have $100 million in your dream home. It exists. In fact, it's not as far away as you think. But what's keeping you from it is these low adjustment points where you keep blending yourself into the matrix construct and accepting much less for what you actually are and what your worth actually is. So we're gonna fix that today. The best way to fix this is to really pay attention to everything I mentioned here, because all of these aspects are all purposeful. They all are mentioned because it is absolutely connecting you with something that will allow you to remember, to access your energy, to believe, because your most powerful aspects are your belief, your focus, your attention. But you got to regain it because you've been trained to be overstimulated, swiping constantly, looking for some sort of fix, to be fulfilled by something, because you're not actually realizing that infinite wealth exists within you, that you can live your highest timeline, that you can literally experience that life now by transferring your consciousness there and mutating yourself into that life. These are very advanced metaphysics, but it is all possible through your spiritual development, your spiritual evolution, which takes your own choice to choose to give in to investing only in yourself, through expanding your awareness, expanding your knowledge, focusing on spiritual devotion, serving the divine, living in truth, serving the truth, so that you get rewarded on a universal level, not just on a worldly level, because that is like rain and it will gently adjust you with the abundance of the particles of infinite energy. Now, what does that sound like? What did I say a minute ago? The infinite energy that I'm speaking about is associated also with money, because it is just a reflection of your actual energetic possibilities. It's a reflection of your actual energy. All of these things have kept you limited for so long, and what they do is they keep you in the old mindset, and they keep you very much a small version of yourself. So the only way to fix that is to stop looking at the material realm with such belief and change your belief to the realm that you choose to live on, where you have infinite possibilities and where you don't have the same limitations whatsoever. If you think about it, your whole life you've been picking up concepts from the matrix. You believe you're an age, you believe you're the body, you believe you're subjected to aging. You believe that you have to become something of the world. That's why they tell children, they ask children, what do you want to be, right? Then they put them in a system where they have to keep learning false knowledge, limited knowledge, learning false history, not knowing the truth, because that truth will allow you infinite potential. Because actually, you deserve in this life to have your dream home. You deserve in this life to have your infinite resources, to not have the same limitations that you were conditioned to believe that you have. Because those limitations are actually only keeping you into that construct. They keep your self-worth so low. Then they keep you thinking you're isolated. You're here solo, right? Then what happens with that is the aspect of all possibilities, the perception of infinite potential is limited because you keep putting yourself into a box, and that box is those concepts, right? Each concept is building that box. It's building that cage that you end up living your life in, and it ages you out. That's the cycle of reincarnation. That's what humans have been stuck in for so long, right? And the only true way to overcome that is through letting go of the despair, the scarcity, letting go of the aspects of yourself that no longer allow you infinite possibilities, letting go of the false aspects of yourself that give you a limited identity, the things that make you think that you're subjected to the rules that the world makes you think you have to live. the things that make you think that it's going to take you a long time to earn money. You got to earn it. No program. That's just a program, I promise you. So the way to overcome that program is through taking away the justification they gave to those false limiting concepts, because you're not here to be limited, right? You're an infinite being. Yet they condition you to believe that you are stuck with all these limitations. But that's on purpose, because that makes you much more easy to control. That makes you much more easy to influence as consciousness. That limits your consciousness. That takes you away from those timelines that we're speaking about here, where you're living all of these dreams already, where you have acquired them, because you have aligned with that energetic vibration. You've aligned with that aspect of yourself that believes that they are worth nothing less than this. That all these appearances in this realm are very temporary. They come and go off the screen, right? So don't get caught up in it. It's all an illusion, right? So what are you going to do about that? You're going to get out of being stuck in the body mind, stuck in the old mindset, and you're going to shift into infinite potential. Don't worry about being judged. Don't worry about doing wrong or not being approved by others. These others that I mentioned on this list, they don't want your freedom. They don't want you living in abundance. They want you very much matching them, fitting into a category, fitting into a role, so that you're very easy to perceive and you're kept in that cage with them. So they have your light to take and reflect back to you false light to keep you in that system of being drained and serving the lowest construct. But that entity that created that will not be here forever. Eventually, we are shifting now into something much higher. One of the best questions you can ask yourself is, does this concept or belief keep me limited? Does the version of myself that has $10 million, that has $100 million, that built my dream home, that has no limitation, do they say things like this? Like, oh, I have to take time and earn this. I have to pay this. I have to. I'm limited. Thinking that you're limited. That you're in debt to the system, that you have to be taking so much time earning a limited amount of money so that you stay caught in that system to where infinite possibilities are not reached. Does that infinite self that's living on these higher timelines, do they have these same concepts? Do they have these same beliefs? Are they caught in the wheel of karma? Are they lost in the illusion? Or are they completely free? Are they living on their own volition? Are they living free? Because if they are, then that's you in a different universe that you can easily match through being patient, through giving yourself the opportunity to believe that all of these things are possible, because it must exist if you perceive it. That's the trick about infinity, is that everything already exists. If you perceive it, then it must already exist, right? That's why they don't want to teach you about infinity, because that shows you have infinite access to abundance. To have that infinite access, you have to never allow yourself to say that it's going to take time, or I need to process, or I'm just here, I have to do this. Have to, need, lack, contract, contracted. You see how all these words are leading into the same place of limitation. The only way you can get yourself out of that limited mindset is to take a step into something new. Invest in yourself, invest in your spirit, expand your consciousness. That is the only way that you will reach those higher timelines. If the universe is so neutral, if God is always saying yes in a very calm way, very neutral, observant within yourself, that's the presence of God, right? So if it's all so neutral, then it's your own decision of your choice of focus and belief to where you take that neutrality, that infinite affirmation, that infinite manifestation to physical appearance, through timeline shifting, what you actually see appearing in your life. It's your own focus and belief, what you affirm, what will allow you to actually utilize the energy to manifest infinite potential. You have to be laser focused on what matters to you, what you want to see, because you have to access infinity within yourself and stay focused on nothing will stop you from reaching that. And that doesn't mean a bunch of physical work, draining yourself. It means consistent perseverance into giving yourself to spiritual evolution, to higher mind, knowing how to use energy, how to recognize patterns in the system, how to utilize nature, how to remember other lives that you're connected to. Coinciding with that, how to access beyond time, because you're a timeless being. So if you're living only in the concept of time constantly, then that will keep you in the paradigm. A major way of doing this is to only keep coming back to the same affirmations that you write down. Only keep believing in yourself as a spiritual being, that you can actually manipulate energy, that you can actually influence energy to the point where it expands, right? If you expand your energy field, if you awaken your senses, each cell, actually, if you expand and create many cells within yourself, then you tell this energy within you that's expanding that all of this is possible. You're aligning to this timeline. You're speaking to the cells, telling them that they are only going to align you to this timeline. They're shifting your physical body in a metaphysical way to bring you into your higher energy life. That's someone that doesn't have these things, that lives in frustration, that lives in time, needing, earning. You're lost in a blur of the mind, thinking you're in lack, and you can't spend. You have to lose to gain. You have to know that you can't lose anything so that you can gain everything, right? A lot of this actually goes back to your inner child, because growing up, you probably heard in your house a lot of arguing about money, or barely being able to pay the bills, working so hard, right, to be able to just get by. Oh, we're sacrificing so much for you to be able to have this life for yourself. All that's doing is the program is making its way to you of associating money with pain. Now that suffering is what keeps you in lack, because you're going to constantly be suffering your own existence, pushing away infinite possibilities and your highest manifestation. That's the opposite mentality from being able to manifest whatever you desire, shifting into any timeline. Because if you're really thinking that money takes suffering, you have to sacrifice so much to be able to get there. You have to barely have this to make it by each month. All of this is sacrifice. They worked so hard for me, now I have to work so hard and keep up that loop. If you're constantly thinking that you have to go serve to make money and build up your savings and sacrifice the peak of your life, sacrifice your consciousness, sacrifice your life force energy just to be able to have peace of mind and make it by and fit into the world, then you're following the exact program that you always heard around you. But if you shift out of that, then you're going to start to have a new mentality where money is not associated with pain, it's associated with possibilities. Money is not associated with limitation, it's associated with infinity, because it's infinite. There's enough for everyone, because it's a digital number mostly. It is time you accept that money is not what they have shown you, so that you can manifest an infinite amount of money, so that you can see yourself in that higher timeline and live it and accept it and connect to it now.